All right, we're going live.
All right, we all live, Paul, but it's still a little early, 6:58. Let's give a few minutes for some more people to log on.
Yeah, we'll give it to like 2 or 3 minutes past.
So I just saw on the news that the first case of that Omicron is in California. The
Oh,
state,
wow.
the state with the strict lockdowns and mandates. Yep.
But it doesn't affect people very dramatically, that new variant.
No. Vaccinated or not, you're still getting it, but you're not. The survival rate is like almost at 100%.
Yeah, it's like a flu.
Exactly, but the media has everybody in panic. That's what they do. All right, it's 7 now. I say 2 more minutes should be fine.
Okay.
See a bunch of people logged on, waiting eagerly.
Good evening, everyone. We're just going to wait a few more minutes till a few more people log on here.
We got some good relevant questions coming in, Paul.
Excellent.
By the way, the Wi-Fi is great. There's no lagging on your end.
Okay, let's fingers crossed, knock on wood. Hopefully it doesn't let us down when we're answering the questions later on.
Yeah. 7:02. Let's give it another 1 more minute, you think?
So we'll give 1 more minute and then we'll get going. All right, George, we'll kick it off here. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Keys live stream question and answer session for the 2022 Sergeant's course. My name is Paul McCormack. I'm a retired Deputy Inspector. Just a little bit about myself. I was the commanding officer of the 41st and 13th precincts. I did my 20 years and retired 10 years ago. I was one of the founding members of the Key, along with Captain John Monaghan, retired, and recently retired 3-star Chief Kevin Ward. George here, who's on the call, is a very prominent member of the Key for nearly 2 decades now as well. When we started up this company, the Key, I was a lieutenant. I was top of all my lists, and we believed back 22 years ago that we could do something special for the guys looking to get promoted and use our methods for studying to help everybody else get to the top of the lists. So that's why we started it. We've been very successful. We're very proud of what we do. And I'll just let George introduce himself now.
Good evening, everybody. My name is George Mipson, retired captain. I did 25 years with the NYPD. I worked in many different commands and units. I'm not going to list them all. There's no reason to, but I will say that for my sergeant exam, I was assigned to narcotics, and it was during 9/11. So I was working a lot of overtime, and I was still able to study. And I'll just throw this one list number out there. For my sergeant exam, I had about 9,000 people. I was list number 5. So like Paul said, I've been teaching with the Key now for almost 2 decades, and I love what I do. For those guys and girls that heard about me, you know what you're going to get from me. You're going to get the way it is, what you need to read, and it's going to stay in your head, and you're going to remember everything we're going to go over in class and online come test day. So we have a lot of questions, Paul. I will.
Well, just kicking off, George. We'll talk. We had a live stream this morning at 9 o'clock for the day tour people, and we fielded a lot of questions this morning. One of the things we want to lay out up front is there's a lot of questions about why are we starting the test now? Like the department hasn't made an official announcement. Well, back in earlier this year, back I believe in April, the Department of Citywide Administrative Services, they announced the filing period for your sergeant's test, which is going to be May of next year. They also listed a filing period for a lieutenant's test for April of next year. George will get into the numbers on the current sergeant's list, but that is a huge indicator that there's going to be a test next year. Absolutely. We are, all of our sources indicate with great certainty that there's going to be a test in either June or July of next year. There has to be. There currently, as you know, there's a new mayor has been elected, and there's going to be a new administration in the NYPD. The Department of Citywide Administrative Services met with the NYPD Personnel Bureau last week to talk about the sergeant's course, the sergeant's test, excuse me, which is going to be next year. And they're basically, the job is waiting until the new administration, the transition crew comes in, the new administration comes in before they make any announcement. Nobody wants to pull the trigger on anything, but we are certain that there's going to be a test in the early summer of next year. And George, can you just talk about the sergeants, the current sergeants list, so that they can get a read on where we're at?
Yes. So the current sergeants list that's out there right now was established on February 22nd of 2017. Going back in history, all exams were valid for 4 years. This exam is different because of COVID. So the sergeant list that's out there was extended 1 year, which would bring us to February of 2022. But they can extend the list for years. It doesn't matter because there's not enough guys and girls left on the list. Number-wise, the list started at 2682. We're at about 1940 right now, which leaves us with about 740-ish and change to get promoted. And if you watch The Finest and know anybody who gets promoted, they do anywhere from 70 up to 100 at a pop. So we're talking months here that is left on this list. So a test has to be given. And just a little bit more with history, when they give a test, it usually takes about 6 months to establish a list. So you're talking about the test being somewhere in July, August, then another 6 months for the list to be established. It has to come just based on numbers. Again, they can extend it all they want. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and piggybacking off that, the key, we usually, like we've analyzed all sergeants, lieutenants, and captains tests going back 70 years. And we base our course on what we know has been on prior tests. But our course length, we usually give anywhere from a 9-month to a 12-month course, which is probably what it takes to properly prepare. It's very important that you guys start studying post haste, like right now. We have a very limited, it's basically a 6-month period. We're going to consolidate our course into that 6 months to get you ready for the sergeant's test. But the time is now to start studying. It is very important that you get in there right now. You know, sometimes there have been times where the job has been very, very slow in coming out with the finest message. I remember one test where they gave people 4 months to study, but it was the people that knew it was coming 3 or 4 months prior to that had already been studying that made the top of that list and made the list. And a lot of people that, you know, said they're going to wait, got caught short and didn't get enough study in. So everything that we know, all of our experience and all of our contacts basically lead us to know that it's going to be a test in the summer of next year, without a doubt.
All right, Paul, we got, so my eyes are going left and right, just so you know. I'm looking at questions that we emailed in, and I'm also looking at the live questions coming in. So there's one that's being repeated over and over. Can you just explain, Paul, with the with the cop system and the key app that we had is being replaced? Because that's coming up a lot about accessing and how it's going to work.
Yeah, due to COVID, we're going to be starting our course online. I know that the president's making some announcements tomorrow about what restrictions are going to come out with this new South African variant. We don't know what limitations, like we're starting this as our course online. Our intention is to have live classes either the first or second week of January. But the venues that we're speaking to that we have listed, they're up in the air right now as to what they can or can't do. So we're hopeful that they're not going to kill us with more restrictions and that we'll be allowed to do live classes come early in the new year. Otherwise, we will just, as I said, we're going to continue online until we can do it live classes. But with that being said, we have an online system. For instance, our first lesson starts on Monday, December 6th. And every week, John Monahan, retired Captain John Monahan, and George here will be doing online classes. They'll be videotaping a 3-hour class each. John will be posting on Monday and George will be posting on Thursday. So you have two of the best instructors that have ever done this will be teaching the class for you. So you're going to hear from two different instructors, but we'll be posting that on our COPS system. Now, with the app that we had, the key app, there's been such an overwhelming response that we've had to upgrade to a Google Authenticator. We'll be sending, this is a much easier process, and we'll be sending out emails to everybody tonight with your username, password. You have to download the Google Authenticator app. It's a very simple process. If I can do it, basically anybody can do it. So you download the Google Authenticator app and you'll be given a simple username and password, and you'll be able to log on through any mobile device, laptop, very simple. But that information will be coming out to you tonight, tomorrow morning, and our videos will go live on Monday. So hopefully that answers that question, George.
Yep, it definitely does. That's a question that's popped up numerous times. All right, we have somebody from the 115. How does it work?
Oh, George, can I just back up the bus for 1 second? There's one very important point that I want to make on these people that are signing in. We like, people have been signing in for the past week that have signed up for the class to the COPS system. If you share your username and password with a different IP address, with another email, another sign-in, it's going to freeze your account. It's been causing a lot of problems with some of our people that have signed up early. And basically what we're saying is do not share your set username and sign-in information with anybody else, because it will get you frozen out, and that will cause a delay of 3 to 4 days to get you back cleared up again. So please, keep your stuff to yourself.
Good point, Paul. All right, so this is like a double question from the 115. Online class, you already answered that. What happens if I miss a class? Can I make it up? So online classes, once the videos are posted into our COP system, you can go back and watch them 1,000 times. So missing any class, if you're doing online studying, you don't have to worry about that. A live class, once we go live, if we're covering 207 complaints this week, and once that week is over, that class will not be repeated live, but you can log on online and watch the video from myself and John Monahan. So that's what you can do if you can miss a class.
And George, I don't know if you have a copy of the lesson plan in front of you, but we will be mailing the lesson plans to your home address every week. So if you want to talk a little bit about the lesson plan itself, George, I know that's a question came up a lot this morning as to what's in our material. What do we teach? So George, if you want to break that down.
Yeah, so it's the question came up again. So basically, for those guys and girls who haven't studied before, for a sergeant exam, you used to have to only really study the patrol guide. Patrol guide is over 2,000 pages. This year, the job has made changes. They are moving procedures from the patrol guide into the admin guide. They're actually moving whole sections as well. So now it's a little different. You're going to have to study, in addition to the patrol guide, certain administrative guide procedures, and we will provide those procedures that we feel are relevant and may pop up on your test. So the book, like I said, is over 2,000 pages. It's designed to not make you want to study. Believe me, when you start reading it, it could be a little mind-boggling and overwhelming. What we do every week, so lesson 1, Monday the 6th, we're covering 202, duties and responsibilities. What we do, we break it down so you guys and girls can understand it. Totally different than reading from the patrol guide. We still recommend you read the patrol guide, but then you come to class or watch the class and read our lesson plans. We make it very readable and where you can remember it come test day. Besides the patrol guide, we're going to break down penal law. We're going to go over legal bureau bulletins. We're going to go over supervision and judgment. We're going to go over CompStat math. We cover everything you need for your exam. Like Paul said, we've been doing this many, many years. All of us involved have taken promotional exams, obviously, and got promoted at the top of our list. At the end of each lesson plan, we provide you with, depending on the size of the lesson, anywhere from 35, if you're talking about 212, you can have 60, 70 questions at the end of each lesson pack. Multiple choice questions. Why multiple choice? Because that's what you're going to see on test day. You're not going to see true and false. You're going to see A, B, C, and D. That's what you're going to get from us in our lesson plans. We are preparing you for test day, okay? Please stick with what we tell you, and can almost guarantee you are going to rock the test. And I'm starting to wander off. Let me go to another question because I can talk forever on things, and you're going to realize that as class goes on. So this is a good one. And this came up numerous times, and Paul kind of touched on it already. What's the difference between your school and other promotional schools? Paul?
Well, one of the things, we pride ourselves on the quality of our material and the quality of our teachers. And we like to let the bosses that are in your commands speak for us, because I'd say most of the majority of the bosses in this job have gone to the key. The current police commissioner was a key student. And there are, I think, 4 police commissioners around the country right now that have been key students as well. Our material, our course was the only course ever in the history of the NYPD that have been granted 15 college credits for our course material. It's that good. And we're very proud of that. You can come to our course and attain 15 college credits. And it's a question that came up a lot this morning as well, is how do you get the credits? Basically, we're teaching 202 on December 6th. And that's worth a 1 credit course. That's like a 1 credit course with Aspen University. What you have to do is you have to register with Aspen, and you'll have to pay Aspen for the credit. But the great thing here is to be a sergeant, you need to have 64 credits, an associate's degree. To be a lieutenant, you need to have 96 college credits. And to be a captain, you need to have a degree on this job. And a lot of people don't have those credits. A lot of people may just have the 64. And when you're studying for this test, you shouldn't be thinking, I'm just studying for this sergeant's test. You need to be looking ahead to lieutenant and captains. And there's nothing better than not having to go to college and spend hours and hours studying at college and doing papers and stuff. You're studying at the key course for your sergeant's course and getting college credits for it. It's a fantastic opportunity and something you should take full advantage of. But again, our course, I think there's no course like us. We are, and again, it's my opinion, but the best out there. Again, I'd ask your bosses. We're very, very proud of what we do. We take great pride and we put great effort into our material and into our teaching. Our teachers, George and John, are the 2 best teachers in the business, bar none. And they'll speak for themselves when you see the videos next week.
All right, we have a question regarding the in-basket. Charlie D. Charlie, great question, and it seems like you have a good contact as well. So Charlie says he hears that they're going to be doing away with the in-basket because they want to go fully on a computer. No more Scantrons. So Charlie, our contacts kind of alluded to that, but it's not set in stone. Again, you work for the NYPD and DCAS is in charge of this whole exam process. That's what they want to do. Will they be able to implement that in time? Not sure. All right. You think about how many sergeants are going to be taking, how many cops are going to be taking this exam. That's a lot of computer terminals that they're going to need for the exam date. So it's not set in stone. We did hear the same thing. And Charlie, the in-basket can be anywhere from 15 to 20 questions. Right now, we're going to gear up like you're getting an in-basket, which is probably week, I don't know, I'm just guessing 7 or 8. And by then, we'll definitely know whether the in-basket is going to be coming on your exam or not.
And George, just for the new guys out there that have never taken a test or heard of this before, an in-basket is basically a part of the sergeant's tests that tests your ability to be a desk officer, sitting at a desk, handling the papers that come across your desk, the roll call, the line of duty injury reports, the department vehicle accidents, the forms and reports that come across your desk, movement of personnel during a tour. The job over the years, like we've analyzed tests, as I said, going back 70 years. And there used to be 4 or 5 different parts to a test. There used to be a video portion, an open book portion. You used to get an interview, but they were very subjective and led to a lot of lawsuits. So what DCAS and the job wound up doing was creating a 100 question test. As George said, multiple choice, 4 answers, A, B, C, D. They've always had an in-basket, always. We've heard the rumors that there's not going to be one, but we have to gear up as if there is going to be one. If that changes, we will adjust to it and handle it as needed.
So 5-0 precinct, does a filing period mean there will be a test? So we kind of touched on this in the beginning. There's a test coming. Yes, if the filing period opens in May, there's a test coming. Let me just piggyback off that because there's a question about when our lieutenant's course will begin. So DCAS has on their website filing opening up for lieutenant in April, which is actually prior to the sergeant exam. Again, our contacts are telling us that they're going to push back that date. So the lieutenant exam, just to give you some stats, lieutenant exam was established May of 2018. It would expire May of 2022. And because of the COVID extension of 1 year, it expires May 23. So there's still time before it expires. Number-wise, there was 1,300 and change on that list. They're up to presently 839, which leaves us somewhere around 490. So they still have a good amount of candidates on the list. So an exam is coming, but it's not going to, we can almost guarantee it's not going to be like that filing period says. But again, disclaimer, the job in DCAS, they could do whatever they want. They could just put out an exam and let's do it. But good chance it's going to be pushed back. Anything you want to add on that, Paul?
Yeah, just one of the, from this morning, we had a couple of younger guys that were asking questions that they had been sworn in July of 2019. And they were asking what amount of time do they have to have on to take the test? What amount of time to become a sergeant? You have to have 3 years on the job the day you take the test. Okay, so you could have less than that while you're studying for it. And the question we were being asked is, should they study for the test if they think it's going to be an early summer test? Answer is 100% yes. You do not want to be caught short. Now, again, our information is June or July. Usually the job if there's a class that becomes eligible to take a test, the job usually accommodates and will hold the test up for them to take it. They did it for my lieutenant's test. When I got promoted to sergeant, there was a lieutenant's test that I took 2 days later. And it was the same thing when I got promoted to lieutenant. I was a lieutenant for 1 day and I took a captain's test. The job usually accommodates, so you would be crazy not to study for it. Is there a chance that you get boxed out by a month? Always that chance, but again, you'd be crazy to leave yourself caught short. I think there was 400 people in that group, by the way, in 2019, and that's I can't see the job not accommodating them.
Yep. Again, the same questions coming up, which we covered about live classes. This this live stream being recorded, so anything you missed, you can go back and watch it. But we're gearing up for mid-January, again, COVID dependent. Lesson plans. If you signed up, when should we expect the lesson plans to arrive at our house? Paul,
The lesson plans, if you sign up, the lesson plans should arrive 3 to 5 business days. Now, this is just for week 1 now. If you signed up today, you should be expecting your lesson plan probably on Monday. But if you signed up anytime before today, you'll have your lesson plan by Friday, hopefully. But after we get week 1 underway and we get all of our group put together, your lesson plans will be in your hands probably 4 or 5 days before the Monday of a class starting. So there should be no issue with that.
All right, we have a lot of questions to get through, and I'm just trying to weed them out because a lot of them are repetitive that we already answered. Andrew, if you have orders from the military, are they going to allow me to take the test at a later date? So Andrew, when the job puts out the notice of examination, there will be instructions on any makeup exams. In the past, they allowed you to apply when you got back from service and take the exam. Again, the notice of examination will have the instructions on any makeup exam, pregnancy, outline of duty, etc. Let's see. Paul, this is a good one. I'm sure you have the stat in your head. What is your success rate for students taking your course and getting promoted? We don't need to mention that our students and teachers were the police commissioner and former police commissioners, but I'm sure you have some stats for them, Paul.
Most of the people, I think, we're in the high 70, low 80 percentile of people taking our course. The one thing I will say is it's not just signing up for our course. You have to put the effort in. But if you trust us and put the effort in, you will get on the list. And I think anybody that signed up with the Key and has followed us and done what we've asked them to do, they have made the list. And that's the goal, make the list. And our stats are very high. As I said, most bosses on the job right now today are Key students, have been Key students. And we're very proud of that.
All righty. Nissan Altima. I guess that's your AKA. Do we go over every single procedures or just essential ones?
I'll field that one. The patrol guide is about 2,500, 3,000 pages long. The administrative guide, something similar. And as I said earlier, we've analyzed all tests going back 70 years. We have a lot of rewrites. During the course, we give you rewrites of prior tests. But there are certain procedures in the patrol guide that in 70 years, the department has never asked a single question on the procedure. Like subpoenas duces tecum and subpoena ad testificatum would be my example. They've never asked a question on them. That's like a 25-page procedure. And is there any point in studying that when for 70 years they've never asked a question on it? The chances are, what do you see? Murphy's Law, they might ask the question on it now in the test, on your sergeant's test, but there's no point in trying to read every single procedure to maybe get one extra question. You condense to what you know is going to be on the test. You can cut so much garbage out of the patrol guide and administrative guide and study that to get 98, 99% of the test. And that's what our main focus is that will get you at the top of the list. Some people are like, well, I want to study it anyway. Go ahead if you want to do that. But I would advise against it. It's important that you stick to the meat and potatoes, line of duties, department vehicle accidents. There's OEEO. These are questions that are on every single test that has ever been written. And our philosophy is, if you know they're going to ask you 2 or 3 desk officer questions, I'm not going to get those questions wrong. I will study that till the cows come home, and I will know it cold. So that's the main focus, and that's how we do our stuff. We have put a lot of work into this. We kind of know where they're leaning towards procedure-wise, and that's what we focus on.
Iola,
you want to add to that, George?
Yep, you handle that. Iola, we'll hit you up offline with your answer regarding the logon information, as we already covered it. Let's see. Bear with me, there's trying to see what are dupes and what's not. Oh, instructors, Paul, when we go live, few people are asking who's teaching Brooklyn. Are we having a Staten Island location? Where is the bald-headed crazy captain teaching? I'm getting all kinds of different questions here.
Well, but the way we will be teaching 10 locations, as I said, we're looking at mid-January for starting our live classes. And again, that's all dependent on what happens tomorrow. So stay tuned for what President Biden says, but we'll gear our opening based on what the venues allow us to do. But who's going to be teaching? That handsome bald man in front of you, George, will be teaching, usually teaches the Long Island courses, Nassau, Suffolk. He's in the Bronx occasionally. Captain Monaghan, John, fantastic teacher. He teaches up in Rockland, the Bronx. Chief Ward, 3-star chief. I was chief of staff to Commissioner Bratton. Kevin's retired chief. He'll be teaching Brooklyn and Manhattan with Ralph Salento. So that's Lieutenant Ralph Salento, retired from the Detective Bureau. He was the training coordinator there. Fantastic teacher. As I said before, our teachers are second to none. They're absolutely fantastic, and we are very proud of the work they do. So we never have complaints about our teachers. So that's all of the venues. There's 10 venues. Sometimes they'll be subbing around into other venues, but I know some guys like to get locked into certain teachers, and that's basically the gist of where they'll be teaching.
All right, we have something that came up this morning. It came up again. As a police officer, can I take both the sergeant and lieutenant's exam? So let me just feel that one, Paul. Okay. So you need 3 years as a police officer come test day to take the exam. If I'm making it up now, if the test is July 1st and 3 years is July 1st, you can take the exam. It's not when filing is, you need to have 3 years to take the exam, and you have to have 5 years to get promoted. So this individual wants to know, can he take both the sergeant and lieutenant's exam? So the rules changed. I remember when I took my sergeant exam in 2002, I know I did very well. The lieutenant's exam was 2003, and I was already studying. I was still a cop and still studying for lieutenant exam. You used to be able to take any exam, but DCAS changed the rules a few years back, and they can change it again. In order to take in a promotional exam, if you were taking, let's say, a sergeant exam, you have to be a police officer. You cannot be a sergeant. If you were taking a lieutenant's exam, you have to be a sergeant, not a police officer. Those rules changed, and I can only speculate why they changed, because we used to all take the test just to see what was going on and to help you guys and girls when it comes protest time, because some of these questions were definitely written poorly, or there was a conflict with another procedure. So as a captain, I was able to sit for a sergeant lieutenant exam, but they changed that where we would pay the filing. And I remember this, they would say, you can't take it and we're keeping your money. So hopefully that answers your question. If you're a cop, obviously you're going to be able to take the sergeant exam if you have 3 years come test day. I don't think you'll be able to take the lieutenant's exam if you're still in the rank of police officer. I think that's pretty much it. We covered all the ones coming from the live feed right now. Let me see from the emails we had earlier if I missed something. Paul, is there any location I can pick up a lesson plan?
I don't fully understand what you mean. Like, whoever sent that in, if they can private messages, if they're if you're signed up for the season ticket, we are going to mail the lesson plan to your home address. So there's no need to come pick it up. I mean, if that's somebody that's looking to go week to week, once we start at our live venues, you may be able to pick up lesson plans. We will have extra copies at the live classes starting in January. The answer is yes, but But if you're signed up for a season ticket, we just mail it to your. We've just started with this course, mailing it to your home address, which is very handy.
All right. I think we got them all. Let me see if anything else filtered in on YouTube in the last minute here.
As you're doing that, George, just anybody that's listening, it's very important that you start studying. One of the questions that was asked this morning as well, George, was about the patrol guide and the administrative guide. And just so that you guys know, that the department is revamping both the patrol guide and the administrative guide. They're doing a very, very big upgrade and amendment to both the patrol guide and the administrative guide. Currently, if you look on the department site with the patrol guide, there's 3 sections of the patrol guide, 203, 204, and 205, that are not up on the site. They are completely taken down. 202 has been upgraded and is back up. The upgraded 202 is on the site. We cannot send out patrol guides right now with non-updated material. We would not do that. That would be remiss of us. And we have to wait. As I said, what you're having right now is a transition in administrations. And everybody's afraid to pull the trigger right now that's down at 1 pp on the job right now. Nobody wants to make a move right now in case they piss the incoming administration off. Excuse my language. So everybody's holding in a holding pattern right now. A lot of stuff is going to happen soon when I believe the transition administration is coming in next week. But once that happens, you'll see a lot of stuff changing. Like the patrol guide's going to get upgraded in a much quicker manner. There's going to be a finest message comes out to officially announce a sergeant's test. A lot of stuff's going to happen. With the patrol guide and the administrative guide, they've taken a ton of procedures out of the patrol guide now and put them into the administrative guide. George talked about it earlier on. We've never taught administrative guide on a sergeant's course ever. This time around, they've taken out of the first 202, 203, 204, 205, they've taken so many sections out of the patrol guide and now put them into the administrative guide that we're going to have to teach some of those sections of the administrative guide to you now. But with patrol guide and administrative guide, once they get updated, then we'll immediately get them out to you. But that being said, the digital version that we have online on our COP system right now has the changes to 202, 3, 4, and 5 and are online and up to date.
All right, DH and John M. Just scroll. You can scroll back up, or you can watch the video after we're done. You're all going to get a copy of the recording. We answered this in the beginning, the whole sign up process, the key app, and how we switched over to a different.
Let me just bring that up again, George, for anybody else that came in late. Okay. We are upgrading to Google Authenticator. Everybody that's listening, all key students will have to do it. It's an app. It's a very simple thing. It's Google Authenticator. You download Google Authenticator. We will be emailing you tonight with a username and password. It'll probably be the email that you signed up with and your tax number. That's going to be your username and password. And you once you log in to the key website, you go to Google Authenticator. It gives you a 6-digit code. You've got 30 seconds to put the 6-digit code in, and you're into the COP system. Very simple. Again, I caution you, do not share your information with anybody else. It is causing a lot of the students out there a lot of headaches, because when you share it with somebody, there are firewalls and things they've set up in these authenticators that will freeze your account if you're sharing it with other people. So keep it to yourself. Keep it on your own phone, on your own computer. If it's shared with another IP address or another email address, it will freeze your account. I can't stress that enough. And it takes 3 to 5 business days to get that cleared up. So hopefully that clears that up.
Yeah. Charlie Lopez, thanks for the kudos to Ralph and myself. How much is it to file for the exam? It changes every year. Honestly, it's probably in the 100 and change from the last exam. But let's say this: if the city needs money, they could just make it 200. Who knows? We don't have that answer. Again, when the notice of examination comes out, all that will be explained there.
And speaking of funds, George, quite a few people asked this morning about financing and partial payments and stuff for the course. We have a police credit. I don't know if anybody listening here is aware, but we have a police credit union called the Finest Federal Credit Union, which is our NYPD credit union. I think they've got 6,000 members right now as we speak. But Keith Stone is the CEO of the credit union, and he contacted me to say that they would do basically a it's not a zero interest, a very low interest loan for anybody that wants to take the sergeant's course with the key. It's a tremendous thing he's doing for the members, and you're pre-approved for it if you're a member of the NYPD. There's no big process. You just apply and you're pre-approved. So if you need help with the funding, that is a great way to go. And contact Keith Stone from the Finest Federal Credit Union.
David, if I sign up tomorrow, when should I expect the lesson number 1? 3 to 5 business days, Paul?
I would say you could expect it on Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. But just what's his name there, George?
His name is David, with last name with an S. I'm not going to say his last
name.
Well,
David, you can, as I said, you can look at the class once you get the lesson plan next week. Let's say it's Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. John Monaghan, his video will be up on Monday, but you can review that at any time. It will be up basically until after your sergeant's course, after your sergeant's test, excuse me. And then George's video will be up on Thursday. So you'll be able to review the lesson plan when you get it next week, at your convenience after you get it. So again, after week 1, once everybody is in our system, we'll be able to get the lesson plans out to you well in advance of every class we're doing.
John M. Got a question. I know we're going to have access to online access after live classes. Will the online classes after we go live still be George and Monaghan? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. They're John, as I said, we want to put the 2 best instructors out there up so that you guys can get the best value for your hard-earned money. And George and John are the 2 best instructors. I say that with no ego to George, because God knows his ego's big enough already. But no, but seriously, George and John, you couldn't ask for 2 better instructors, and we really, feel strongly that they're going to be there for the entire course for you guys.
And just to piggyback off what Paul said, when we do transition live, if you are not comfortable making class, or you can't make it, you got stuck with a collar or whatever the reason is, or COVID fear, you could just stay home and still do the online version. You don't have to come to class. We'd love to see you, but you could do whatever you feel comfortable with. When do you think the actual exam might be? We covered this in the beginning. It's going to be probably July, August, September, the latest. Again, it's not written in stone, but based on the information we're getting and the numbers that are left on this exam and when they're going to need a new list established by to promote, it has to come summertime next year.
Yeah, as George said earlier, there has to be a sergeant's test. There's just, the numbers don't lie. They do not have enough people. Like when I studied for their prior tests, George, going back 20 years, I don't think they've ever exhausted a list in the last 20 years on any rank. But in this current sergeant's list, they're going to be exhausting this list. They're going to go through every single name on it, unless something crazy happens. And by the way, that was a question that came in this morning as well, George. There was a cop said he's currently on the current list, and should he study for the test? And if there's anybody listening that's in that position, I would say you would be crazy if you didn't study for the sergeant's test. If you're on the current list, you cannot take the chance that you're going to die on this list and they give another test. But if you're asking my opinion, and again, don't hold us to any of the things we're saying, because we give you the best information we can based on prior experience. But I would say, if you're on the list right now, you've got a very good chance of getting promoted. But there's always the chance that they kill it and you don't make it. But I don't know how you feel about that, George. I think everybody on that list is going to make it.
Yeah, definitely.
But I would study anyway. I would just hedge my bets and I would study for the next test anyway. And if worst comes to worst, you'll be preparing yourself for the upcoming lieutenants.
All right, we have the Monday, Thursday lessons the same. Yes, so Monday's the start of our week. So let's just say December 6th, you're going to get lesson 1 mailed to you, 202 duties and responsibilities. John Monahan's video of 202 is going to go up. Thursday, my video of 202 is going to go up. So yes, it's the same lesson plan, but you're going to see 2 different instructors teaching it. Hopefully that answered your question with that.
And it's very, and just for those students out there, it's actually great to hear it from 2 different instructors. It really, they cement different things in your mind. So it's good to hear it from 2 different instructors. And it should really hammer it home with you. But for study purposes, you have to put the work in yourself as well. It's not just enough to go to class and listen to the instructor once a week. You have to study yourself at home as well.
So we have a student, Kenny. If we want to start studying now, what should we be going over? So Kenny, we go in numerical order of the patrol guide. We start with 202. So our first week, we're covering 202 duties and responsibilities. So this goes for everybody out there. Whatever class we are going to cover, whatever section, you should read the patrol guide section prior to coming to class. So read 202 prior. When I say coming to class, I'm used to saying that we're going to be in a venue, which we will eventually. So 202, you need to read that before the week of 12 sticks. So you have some knowledge and you see the verbiage that's used in the patrol guide. Then we will break it down key style where you'll be like, oh man, that seemed very confusing, but now it's very easy. Yes, that's what we do. That's what we've been doing for many, many years. So always read the patrol guide section prior to coming class and then let us take you down the road from there.
And just to piggyback off that, George, when you're studying 202 for sergeants, do not even think about looking at any rank above sergeant. Don't be, and this goes through when you go through other procedures, like 202 is duties and responsibilities. But when you get into actual procedures, like in line of duties, whatever, there'll be captain's duties, lieutenant duties. Don't read them. You do not need to know what you're not studying to be a captain. You're not studying to be a lieutenant. And if you don't, and what test writers do is they'll take a responsibility for a lieutenant and they'll stick it in there as a wrong answer for a sergeant's responsibility. But if you've never read it before, you'd be like, no, that doesn't sound good. No, I've never read that. But when you do read it, it'd be like, yeah, it's familiar. I remember that. Don't get caught out like that. Do not read anything above the rank of sergeant.
Wanda, will George ever teach at Brooklyn? Long Island's too far, and I like how he explains everything in detail. So I will make appearances at Brooklyn. I'm not sure if it's going to be morning or night, whenever we do go live. But don't forget, every week, besides John Monahan, I'll be making a video as well. So the same things I would do in class, you'll get on video. I may have to tone it down a little bit with the vulgar language now that this is going to be out there in cyber world. We don't need things coming back to bite me in the butt, but I will still do the best I can like I have done in the past.
Yeah, and I think our tech guy is going to convert it to an audio for you guys as well so that you can listen to it while you're working out or going to work or walking your foot post on 163 and 3rd Avenue and the 42.
We got the same question. I'll answer it again about Staten Island. Is there a Staten Island location when we go live?
Yes, 100%. We will have that locked down in the next day or two. Definitely going to be a start. But like, we just got to make sure we have a location that's going to allow us to have a lot of people there. We can't have locations that allow 20% capacity. So we are going to have that cleared up tomorrow. We'll be announcing all of that stuff in a day or two.
Last question. The patrol guide says out of stock. How can I get one? How can I order one? That was covered in the beginning, but really quick answer to that. Basically, the job is revamping the patrol guide and moving procedures into the AG. And right now, sections 203 through 205 are not available. So once it's updated, then it will be available to purchase. It makes no sense to purchase any patrol guide right now. That's just going to change, or that's being changed as we speak.
Again, and that's a good point, George. Don't be purchasing any patrol guides out there because they're pre-printed and they're a waste of your money right now. Purchasing any patrol guide out there right now, we are not going to send out patrol guides until we have them updated. So I know people out there was a question we've had. People have purchased the patrol guide and administrative guide. We're asking you to hold off for a couple of weeks until we get the updated versions, and then we're going to mail them out immediately to you. So, but in the meantime, we have the digital versions online, which are updated.
All right, I think we got them all. Queens location, no, we don't have Queens locations. So Queens people can go to, we have a location in Nassau, which is going to be in Westbury. We have Chateaubriand, a tremendous catering hall. Depending on where you live in Queens, it may be conducive to go to Brooklyn or jump into Manhattan down by headquarters. But no, we do not have a Queens location. All right, I think that's it. Anything you want to add, Paul?
No, just we're glad you're putting your trust in us. We won't steer you wrong. We're very proud of our course. We've got the best teachers. We've got the best material. It's important that you jump in and start studying right away. As we said earlier, the job will be giving a test in 2022. That is going to happen. It has to happen. The DCAS has announced the filing. The fact that the job hasn't come out with the finest message is just purely because they're in a transition right now. That is going to come out soon. We usually, as I said, do a 9-month to a 1-year course. We're going to have to condense because of the time, and this test is going to be here before you know it. Just start studying. Trust us. We will take you to the promised land, and we look forward to seeing you in class in January. We'll have live classes in January. Look forward to seeing you there. In the meantime, please stay safe out there. Watch each other's back, protect each other, and have a great Christmas and holiday season.
All right, stay safe, and I will see you next week, video-wise, and then eventually next year in person. God bless, stay safe, and thank you for what you guys and girls do out there every day. As I say it all the time, it can be a thankless job, but there are people out there that really appreciate what I used to do, Paul, and what you guys and girls are doing out there every day.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, George. God bless everybody. Good night.
Good night.